And I also had a group of 4th and 5th graders, and that came in for math. And the little girl was playing with a toy, and I was like, "Sweetie, I need you to put it away. It's time to get to work." She's like, "Oh, this is for your wife. Why don't you give this to your wife?" And I'm like, yeah. So I don't have a wife. I've already been there. We're done. Put it away. Thank you. But this little girl said, "I don't agree with that." And I was like, "Agree with what?" She's like, "You being married to a man." And she says, "Well, you shouldn't be married to a man." I said, "Oh, well, who should I be married to?" She was like, "A woman." And she like kind of rolled her head, and I was like, "What kind of woman?" And she was like, "You should be married to a black woman." And I was like, "Oh, so that's what you believe, and you think I shouldn't be married to a white man?" And collectively, all 9 kids are like, "He's white?" And I was like, "Wow, that's your biggest concern right now." My name is Lavell Wood. I am a K-8 special ed teacher at Learning Center. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, just in a little farm. We had pigs and chickens. I was an average kid. I grew up with my grandmother. My mother died when I was a year old. She was murdered, and so my grandmother and my grandfather adopted me and my sister, who's a year older than I am. As far as being gay, I knew I was gay like in 3rd grade. I knew it was different, and so I think that separated me from my family, because I looked at them and I didn't like things that they did, the way they talked, because I thought there has to be something more fabulous than what I'm seeing here. My homeroom teacher was a Latino woman. My reading teacher was this tall, cute redhead. And so after lunch, my homeroom teacher would read a story to the kids, and all the little boys would sit next to her, and they'd put their head on her lap, and she would kind of rub their head or something. And so one day when Mr. Harrison was the redhead teacher, he was reading a story, so I sat next to him and I put my head on his lap. I was like, if they can do it, I can do this. And he kind of moved away a little bit, but it was 3rd grade that I realized I was different. Like the crushes that boys had on little girls, I had on other boys, and just didn't think anything of it. I was actually on scholarship at Metro State, Teachers for Colorado. And I actually quit the program, which was a huge mistake because now that's all added to my student loans. But it was because at that time there were a few teachers who were being reprimanded for being gay, and that was just coming out. And so with those issues being there up front, I just wasn't sure that teaching was right for me, and had a few breakdowns, and went to my counselor or guidance counselor with the program and was like, "I can't do this." And so I dropped out of that program, but still had the desire to teach and kept teaching dance. And so finally it was just kind of like, whatever, I'm not going to stop my dream because of my sexuality or what other people think about it. So I was a technology coordinator with the district for 4 years before I got my degree, and worked at Lincoln High School in Portsmouth, which is now Cesar Chavez. So I was out to some of the kids. They knew I was gay, or my staff, but I wasn't the teacher. So my connection and relationship with the kids were different. But becoming a teacher, being in charge of, a caseload of 32 kids, it's like, how do you do that if it comes up and it just stops the whole lesson? My question was, how do I reroute that to get back on track? So year 1 was fine. Kids ask questions. It was like, if I tell you if I'm gay, is that going to help you read better? If it is, I'll be happy to share the information with you. If not, we're going to just keep reading. And so, then parents are like, "Oh, are you married? You have a girlfriend?" And I'm like, "No, I have a boyfriend, but not married. It's not legal yet." And they would have kind of a twinge of like, okay, but then they get over it. So then year 2, beginning of this year, my ex got married, and so I came back year 2 with a different last name. So I legally changed my last name, And so the kids are like, why'd you change your name? I'm like, oh, I got married. I'm like, what's your wife's name? I don't have a wife. I'm like, what do you have? I'm like, I have a husband. And they would just look at me, and some kids are like, that's just wrong. It doesn't make sense. You're joking. Really, tell us what's your wife's name. So the kids wouldn't believe me, and they just like, they were in denial. Well, first, when I got back this year with my new name, I went to my principal, and I said, so I have a new last name. So the principal looked at me, and she was like, I trust that you will handle it perfectly. She was like, whatever you say, it'll be fine. And so that gave me a little power, a little confidence, just that if she saw something, then I don't have to worry about it. But I remember being on lunch duty in the cafeteria, and a little black girl comes up, and she was like, I'll make up a name. She's like, Christy has a question for you. She wants to know if you're gay. I say, well, if she wants to know, she'll come and ask me. So she runs over and tells her, and she's like, chuckling around it. So the girl comes up to me, and she was like, Mr. Wood, are you gay? They wanted to know if I had a husband or not. I said, yes, I've already told you that. I have a husband. And she's like, so you're gay? And I said, yes, I am. And she was a little third grader. She looked at me and she goes, congratulations. And she gives me a big hug. And I thought, wow, I didn't think I'd be validated by a third grader, but then there were the kids who would start laughing and making jokes, and then I would just turn it around into a lesson about empathy. Like, wow, you guys are laughing because I tell you I'm gay. I'm like, well, number one, that's old news. It's like, everyone already knows that. I said, number two, I said, you're hurting my feelings right now because you make it seem as if there's something wrong with me. And I said, but what I do in my own time, in my own personal life, has nothing to do with how you learn. So right now my feelings are hurt because you're laughing at me because I'm gay, and I understand you may not have positive feelings about it. I said, but my feelings are hurt right now. And I said, the only thing I expect from you is that you respect me, and I will always respect you. I said, so am I different now that you know that I'm gay? And they're like, no. I'm like, so let's just respect each other. And they always apologize, and I just want to be like everyone else. I just want to come to work and just do my job and not, wow, I don't know why I'm tearing up right now. But just that the stress of not being able to come to work and just be Mr. Wood. But I come to work and I'm the black teacher. I come to work and I'm the gay teacher. And I see how in a sense, I brought that onto myself for being gay, because I'm sharing that with parents and kids in everyday conversation. But the stress comes in where it's like, I'm always thinking and having to kind of be prepared for these other conversations. If I'm emotionally able to have them, if not, how am I going to deflect it to put it off, but make these kids feel like they've been heard and I'm not just like ignoring them or avoiding their questions. I don't have to be the person to talk about the race relations and all that kind of stuff. But that's another part of my passion, because I kind of feel if I don't, no one else will. And I like to think that I have the right answers. So if someone needs to give an answer, it needs to be me.